Hello, Charles County. Welcome to another episode of Cracking the Code, a chance for us to talk about all things related to zoning, permits, regulations here in Charles County, ways that you can know about how to be a good neighbor, and what to do to keep your community safe and make Charles County a great place to live and work. As always, we are joined by our wonderful Deputy County Attorney, Liz Theobalds. Liz, thanks for being here today.
And good morning, Doria. Thanks for having me.
And Liz, I just want to throw out there, I was thinking about it while I was driving to work this morning, that I remember it was 2 Decembers ago when you emailed me and said, I think we should do more content about people understanding zoning and regulations and permits. And I was like, great, when can you be in the studio? So Liz, thanks for being the kind of Charles County representative who doesn't just do your job every day, but goes out of your way to, what can we do more for our residents?
Well, thank you for recognizing that. I appreciate that.
And you're never going to email me an idea ever again, are you?
I will. It's okay. You're wonderful to work with.
You're having fun with it, right?
Yes, and it's great to get the message out. Thanks.
Good. Well, we're joined here for Cracking the Code with 2 other wonderful Charles County employees and great guests today. We have Kelly Palmer, who's our planning supervisor with Planning and Growth Management.
Yep, happy to be here.
Thanks, Kelly. And you're going to be doing a lot of cracking the codes with us, right? Like so much of your job is, yep. Mm-hmm. And we also have Katie Roche, our Lieutenant of Animal Control. So thanks for being here, Katie.
Thanks so much for having me.
And this is your first time doing this, yes?
It is. I'm very excited.
That makes me so happy because there's definitely 2 types of Charles County government employees. And I would say 2 types of people. There's the type where you're like, hey, do you want to come in and have this fun podcast? And they're like, yes, what time can I come and can I bring coffee? And then there's the type where I say that and I think they might resign from their position rather than have to speak to me. So thank you all for being the kind that did not put your resignation in just because I asked you to do this podcast.
What you don't know is I put it in yesterday. So.
Oh, no. Well, at least you did this with us. And that's fine because you still showed up today. That's all that matters. I'll talk to human resources later. So today we're going to be talking about permits regarding animals, specifically kind of in that business and number of animals sense. And that's Lieutenant Roche, why you're joining us here today. So can you start by just talking about what animal control's role in Charles County is? You don't usually get to do these kinds of conversations. Yeah. So give us an idea of who you are and what you do, please.
Yeah, so animal control, I think, has a pretty negative stigma from nationally. I think we kind of talked about before we started filming The Lady and the Tramp. We have that negative, the dog catchers just chasing the dogs down the road, and then they put them in a kennel, and then, they just kill them all. And it's just not at all what we do. Yeah. We want to keep property animals with their humans, their family. When I have to transport any animal to the shelter, I'm like, man, I hope someone comes forward for it. I don't want this animal to just sit in a cage for X amount of days, and then does anyone come forward, right? So I really would love to do more of these to really show the public what it is that we do, because really our main goal, number one, is enforcement. We do have state and county laws that we do enforce, but really the top on that is really the public safety aspect of things. We save animals from people and people from animals every day. So it really is a parallel line that we kind of have to constantly battle of, is this individual abusing their animal, or is this animal just not a good fit for this individual? Is it aggressive? Whatever the case may be. So, so we have 8 animal control officers in the county that they run the entire county 24/7, 365. And some of the calls that we run can be as simple as an animal running at large. My neighbor's dog is out, it's running the neighborhood, it's getting into my trash, or there's a stray animal, a stray cow, a pig, a goat, whatever it is, it's just running down the road. I don't know where it lives, and it's a traffic hazard. Can you come get it? Or kind of the more egregious calls that we get are, my neighbor's just tying their dog out with a heavy chain. They're in a foot of snow and there's no doghouse. They have no water. They're freezing. They're skinny. So these are the investigations that we have to do. First and foremost, are the people okay? Is there a reason why the people are mistreating the animals? Or do they need help? And then if they don't, we kind of move on to the animal aspect. What is it that we can help these individuals with? Are they just, is it a lack of funds? Is it a lack of groceries for the animal? Can we help them, give them a bag of dog food? Can we help them with a dog house? Can we help them, hey, we have a ton of water bowls, something as simple as a water bowl. Can we help them and give them that? We really want to educate, re-educate before we remove an animal. There are plenty of times where we have to remove an animal and seize it because state law gives us that authority to do so. But I don't want to do that, right? We don't want to remove someone's property or their animal, their family member from their home. So if we can educate people to just explain proper pet ownership, proper licensing, proper vaccinations, what's the best breed of dog for your animal, or any animal for that matter. Things like that we want to educate people.
It's a really broad.
Yes.
You guys do a lot of. It's interesting. It's
I could talk about it all day.
I was going to say, I'm hearing another episode coming through. Because I think what I hear you saying is that there's so much. We have to make sure people are following the rules, and Liz often talks about in the Cracking the Code episodes. These rules don't exist because somebody was like, in Charles County, we want to have rules. They sound like fun. These rules and codes and things were put into place to keep everybody safe. And I don't know. I'm such an animal lover. So when I think everyone's safe in Charles County, I want to know that our humans are safe, as in there aren't dogs running around potentially biting people.
Right.
But also our animals are safe. And that means that if you're not being a good neighbor to your humans or to your animals, that there are things in place to help with that, whether it's the education or the enforcement. And so hopefully we can change that stigma that you talked about at the beginning. So you guys do the inspections and the compliance, making sure that people are following those rules. You've got the animal care and rescue, and then, like you said, the public education and community support, and all of that comes down to the enforcement and safety. That all of this is done for safety.
Absolutely,
awesome.
Public safety is the number one goal for our division.
Yeah,
hands down.
Love it. And talk a little bit, because we're here today to talk specifically about the licensing and the permits part. And I know. Kelly's going to jump in and talk about her role in that licensing and permits. But when we talk about licensing and permits for animals, where does animal control? What is your role in that?
Right. So there's a couple of different people hear, because I think planning and growth management has a little bit of a different verbiage in their code as opposed to what animal control has in our regulations. And I think we're going to have a little side conversation about that later. But planning and growth management refers to anyone that breeds, boards, grooms, sells animals as a commercial kennel. In their code. In our regulations, it's actually identified as a commercial animal establishment. So anytime someone is breeding animals, and this doesn't apply to livestock. Livestock kind of falls more under the Department of Agriculture. But dogs, cats, rabbits, guinea pigs, anything that's a domesticated a companion animal that people are breeding, we license. Boarding, if you're boarding dogs and cats, if you're grooming any animal, trainers, and then, zoos, petting zoos, circuses, we license all of them. We inspect all of them.
So it's one of those times where there's kind of two parts of Charles County government, and I know this is where it's confusing. I always say this is why people hate government. So it's kind of a planning and growth management takes one component, but then you take the other component. And I do love that we're finding ways. It sounds like in the future we're going to try to align those a little closer so that somebody isn't hearing one word when they call one number at Charles County government, but hearing another. That makes sense. Okay. So you're making sure that these animal establishments comply with the county and state regulations, whether it's from the safety perspective, which is more of the animal control, or from the I'm trying to think of the words, Kelly, and you might be able to help me, kind of the good neighbor, like make sure that what you're doing in this space of land in Charles County is accurate.
Correct.
Did I say that?
Yes.
Okay, so Kelly, tell us about how you step in for that, and then we'll talk about what these commercial kennels are from your perspective. But what is your role in the animal part?
Right. So our role is that you have to get a commercial animal establishment license from animal control, but we and zoning have to sign off on that.
So step one is somebody says, I'm doing something with animals, and it goes to animal control. Animal control makes sure that it fits the kind of public safety perspective and health and safety of the animal, but then it has to come back to you.
Yes.
And your office is looking for what?
So we're looking to make sure that the land use is allowed on their property. So commercial kennels are not allowed in every zone, so we have to first check their zoning district to make sure it's allowed there. And part of that is we ask them how many animals. So for us, our definition is 5 or more adult animals. Animal control is a little bit different. In the future, we are trying to align, so the number will be the same regardless. But we need to know how many animals and what they're doing with them. So whether they're breeding, boarding, training, any of that stuff, grooming, we need to know that. And then if they don't have a home occupation, they have to apply for either a home occupation to do it, if it's less than 5, but if it's 5 or more, they apply for the commercial kennel through the site development plan process.
So home occupation would be, this is a side hustle for me out of my house, or these are just my personal animals that I have. This is just fun for me and my family. Whereas the commercial is, I am making money off of this, and my neighbors probably don't want 500 cars lined up outside my house in a neighborhood.
Correct.
But I think they kind of align too, right? Because we've had several people that are boarding or breeding out of their home, and maybe they don't have that home occupancy permit, so they still are making money, and they're still, and kudos to them.
Right.
We always support someone that can responsibly have these businesses, but I think they do still have to get that permit, even if they are still operating out of their home and it is their full time, as long as they. I think it's just like you said, zoning regulations better than I do, but even if it's in a residential area, they still have to. Yeah.
Correct. And then anytime they're selling them or they're making money, they have to get home occupancy or the commercial kennel.
And I go back, I'm smiling because this is, it's funny, I opened today by saying, Liz, remember that time you sent me an email and said, let's educate. This is complicated. And I think what I hear you guys saying is that it's not necessarily that somebody needs to understand. Like, we're not hoping that somebody listens to this podcast or watches this video and is like, oh, I now know everything. Of course I'm a this, and I needed this, and I needed that. It sounds like more we want to encourage people to recognize that it is complicated. It's not complicated just for fun. Like, this was done for public safety. And call before you decide what kind of and that's the ongoing thing we talk about, right? If you're not sure before you buy that property in Charles County,
call first, stop by.
Yeah, and I think too, just to kind of piggyback on that, so many people think they can, I can get 2 pit bulls or 3 pit bulls, and it's a quick buck because they can just have a couple of litters, but there's so many ins and outs that they have to do. There's so much extra work that goes into just breeding a couple of dogs, right? I think it's not that easy.
And I'm laughing that you said that, Lieutenant Roche, because when we think of the topics for these Cracking the Code episodes, it's not like Liz and I sit back and are like, what's the most obscure topic we could ever think of? We're going off of the feedback that we see coming before our Animal Matters boards. We're going off the feedback we hear from our, who's calling and asking for permits, what's in the news, what are people complaining about on social media that Charles County, ruined my life by I bought this and now I can't do that. So this is a hot topic right now, Kelly. So Kelly, tell us about why you're noticing that commercial kennels, to use the planning and growth management word, so commercial kennel doing anything that has to do with animals and business, why that's showing up more in Charles County, or how your office is hearing about it more.
So we're hearing about it more because I think, with the government shutdown, people are looking for other things to do to make income. And so starting this summer, we really had a big ramp up in people asking about doing this as out of their home, as kind of a side hustle until they find another job or until the government opens back up, things like that. Like Lieutenant Roche said, a lot of people think it's easy. Like, well, I'll just get a couple dogs, I'll breed them, I'll sell a couple of litters, I'll make all this money. But it's not that easy. There's way more involved. And it mostly becomes a nuisance issue. Because if your neighbors have never heard dogs next door before, and all of a sudden they hear, 2 big dogs and a bunch of puppies barking at all hours of the night, because dogs bark, that's what they do, it becomes a nuisance issue. So they'll call our office and they'll complain. And it's not just domestic animals. We have with farm animals and everything like that. So people, they really started to see, I need a permit now, because animal control will go out and they'll say, oh, hey, everybody looks healthy, but you need a commercial animal establishment license.
Right.
So then they send them to our office, and then we get it, and we're like,
we're doing this in backwards order, because at that point, to use the puppy example, then you have the puppies. We're not putting the puppies back, right?
Yeah,
this is, so we really want people to recognize, and I think you mentioned, government shutdown, but am I correct, even going back to the pandemic, this was kind of, I'm stuck at home, and again, as the animal lover, what a great way to share my home with animals until it really bothers my neighbors or becomes a health and safety issue for me, the animal, or my neighbor.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And during that time, the shutdown, everybody was getting puppies. So like, oh, I'm home now. I have time to raise a puppy.
Right.
And then, oh, they're so cute. Let's have more puppies, because other people want puppies. So it just kind of spiraled from there. It just gets
bigger. And Charles County does have, Liz, you've talked about this a lot, as Charles County grows, are we rural? Are we urban? Are we suburban? Who's moving in and who says, well, I've lived here for the past 60 years and it's never been a problem, but now the regulation. So talk a little bit about
it. It's true. Like I said, people feel that, we've got this space. We can go ahead and do this. But just as Kelly pointed out, next thing you know, you've got like 2 dogs. And then all of a sudden you've got litters of puppies and they're making all kinds of noise. And it ends up being that real struggle between what it is that you can do with an expanding suburb into what had always been a rural area.
Right. Gotcha. All right. So, Kelly, let's talk a little bit about what you want people to do if they're going to obtain this commercial kennel license. So, I'm here, I've either lived here forever or I'm new, and I have decided that this is how I want to spend my time. What do I do?
So the first thing I would suggest always is come in and talk to one of our planners in zoning and ask them, say, this is my property, this is how big it is, this is what I would like to do.
Or this is the property I want to buy, correct? Because you can also proactively say, like, I saw this great thing on Zillow for sale.
Right.
This is where I think I want to go. Okay.
And that's a lot of the conversation we have is people will come in and say, I found this property, will this work? Which we love that. We love for you to come in first before you buy it.
Right.
Because if the answer is no, you've spent no money. It costs you $0 to come talk to us to get that education up front. And then you can find a property that does fit. And we can help you with that. And also our economic development department will also help people find the right property because they know the parameters. They know what they need for zoning, and they'll work with animal control too to see, what is the minimum size or the fencing requirements, things like that.
So getting that advice up front. Okay, so if I'm looking for a property, come to you to find out if the property I'm looking for. And if I already have my property, still come to you.
Still come to us because
Don't
we
make
can tell
puppies
you.
yet.
Right.
I feel like that could be the hashtag of this show, like no puppies yet.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And what kinds of things are you looking for once you determine, like, okay, this property, you could apply for a permit at this property. What are you looking for?
So the biggest thing is going to be your size. So if you keep the animals inside, we require 2 acres, minimum 2 acres. If they're allowed outside, it's 5 acres.
Okay.
For outside animal areas, we want them fenced. Right now, the ordinance is an 8-foot tall fence, but we are revising that with our code update that we're working on to reduce the size of the fencing. It'll mostly be on the property owner to make sure the animals are maintained within the enclosed space. Otherwise, animal control gets involved because your animals are running at large.
And Kelly, I'm smiling when I hear you say that. So tell me if I'm interpreting this correctly, that when we do these zoning updates, this is a nice way of saying, like, Charles County realized that the rule was perhaps over complicated and that it's better for people to do what's best for their situation. That if you have a teeny animal, you might not need a massive fence. So do what's best for your property, but also keeps everybody safe.
Correct.
I really appreciate hearing when government does a progressive thing. That's kind of like a, we're doing okay, guys, right?
And one of the things I would like to say is that it's really great that we're doing a zoning code update because it's really reflecting the changes. Like I said, you don't have to have that stark contrast between moving into a residential area and how it is that we progress outward as the county grows. So I'm really appreciative to hear that.
That's awesome. Okay, so how big I am, and then I've got notes about sanitation plans and vaccines. What does that look like?
Right. So right now we say that you have to have a plan for the waste. For all animals make waste, and all people make waste too. So just like you have to have a plan with the health department for your septic, we need to know where the waste is going to go.
Gotcha.
And the health department does review that, so they want to know where all that's going to go, whether you're going to collect it and throw it in the trash, or haul it off site somewhere to a designated space. You can't just throw it in the street or whatever.
But that's also nice that you're encouraging people to think about it, as in before the puppies. Remember, don't make puppies yet.
Right.
What are you going to do when you have those puppies? Okay.
Right. And then another part of that is you're going to have your commercial animal establishment license with animal control. Now, usually what happens is we'll approve your site plan first.
Okay.
And then once that's been approved, we'll sign off on that license, and you'll go pay the treasurer's office and take it back to animal control, letting them know, yes, you have zoning approval and you're good to go with us, so that they can issue the license.
Awesome. Okay. And then at some point, animal control, Lieutenant Roche, you guys go out and make sure that those animals are safe, the humans are safe, that public safety part? How does that work?
Yeah, so as long as, the individual that's applying for the license, whether it's for breeding, boarding, grooming, whatever it is that they're applying for, as long as they have accurately given all their information on the license or on the application form, and then they take as Kelly said, to planning and growth management, as long as they sign off and say, hey, you can operate this establishment at this location, or they might put stipulations. You can only have up to 5 animals or whatever it is, depending on how big their property, whatever it's zoned for. Because it sounds like, obviously, like we've been talking about, there's a lot of ins and outs that go to this, right?
Yeah.
So someone's property can be different than someone else's. But as long as they sign off on it, and then the treasurer's, signs off that the individual has paid their fee, their annual fee for that license, then what they have to do, depending on what kind of license they're applying for, they have to bring that to our office. If it's say a boarder or a groomer, they can just drop the license off, and then an officer will contact them and just schedule an inspection. Okay. And as long as they pass that inspection, then they're good to go, and then they will get their license sent to them in the mail. Now, if you're a breeder, remember, no puppies yet.
Right, no puppies yet. Don't make puppies yet.
Anyone that's breeding, when they apply for that license, they still go through the same process. Once they get to the point where Planning and Growth Management and the Treasurer's Office has signed off on that application, they actually have to bring that application to our office along with a current rabies vaccination and a photo of each adult animal on the property.
Because this is where it starts to divide between the Planning and Growth Management, Kelly's role of, are you being a good neighbor, into the animal control role of, are you taking good care of your
Correct.
of
and
these
enforcing
animals.
the state laws too, because it is Maryland state law that every adult animal is vaccinated. Now, so a little side note: everyone thinks that an adult animal is maybe they're 2 years old. They're still a puppy when they're a year old, right? No, actually, in county regulations, any animal that reaches 4 months of age is considered an adult. And the reason for that is that's when veterinarians start to give rabies vaccinations. So at 4 months, you might have a litter of puppies that are 4 or 5 months old. They're still puppies to you, but legally they're actually adults. So once you hit that, now you have 12 adult dogs instead of just 4. Now you really have a bigger issue that they all now have to get vaccinated.
And I just want to do a quick shout out because you guys just did another one of your free rabies clinics, which is such a great and a cost saving measure. And I love seeing the cars lined up with people wanting to keep their animals safe and healthy and wanting to keep their neighbors safe and healthy. I don't want your dog to have rabies.
Yeah.
That's not a win for any of us, right?
Out of we did 4 clinics this year. We vaccinated over 1,000 animals between 4 of them.
So special shout out that yes, we are making you, the state and Charles County is making you have rabies, but we will help you get it at no cost. Okay, so I think I want to touch on a couple of things about the inspection part, because to go back, Lieutenant Richey, what you said about this bad stigma, I picture, the animal control officer shows up with a white glove and is making sure that they're, what are you looking for? What are the main parts of an inspection?
So in the county regulations, all of our regulations are based off of state laws. So anytime we do any kind of welfare check, whether it's at someone's home or a kennel inspection, we make sure that the animals have the basics: shade, shelter, water, space. So are they being housed indoors? If they are, great. They really don't need to have shade. They already are inside. It's a temperature controlled area. Do they have enough space? Do we have a Great Dane inside of a 2x2 kennel, or do we have it in a big enough area that the animal can get out of its own waste? Is it being kept clean? It really is just dependent, on the type of animal that we're inspecting for. But those are the basic things we look for. Do they have water? Are they of an adequate body weight? We use the term unremarkable condition all the time. If I can look at an animal and it's of adequate body weight, there's no injuries, it doesn't look sick, it looks happy, healthy, alert. It's in unremarkable condition. Nothing about that animal is standing out to say, ooh, there's something not right about that dog. So as long as everyone checks okay and looks like they're in unremarkable condition, everyone has their rabies vaccinations, and they're being housed in the proper way that the county regulations spell out that they have to be housed, then as long as that all plays out, and again, as long as they've applied for this license and done everything that they're supposed to do before we even get to that point, then they can be licensed.
And something that I think comes up a lot during the cracking the codes and gives me, again, like, okay, government, we got this, we're doing this right. These are not arbitrary decisions. These are, somebody has said, your deck is approved if it meets this. Your animal is healthy if it meets this. So this is not up to the discretion of the animal control officer that goes out. We're just following code.
Correct.
Yeah.
And one thing too that I would like to touch on, especially for breeders, and I think I'm kind of going off on a little bit of a rabbit hole, but
she's got the microphone, guys. Watch out.
I still like to touch on it too. Is we animal control does support responsible dog breeders. I think there is a stigma. I mean, we definitely want people to adopt our animals at the shelter, because a lot of them do need homes too. But we do have responsible dog breeders in the county that we do support and we do license. And I think that a lot of people I would like people to know that, as a responsible breeder, obviously you're supposed to get licensed too, but I think the overbreeding side of things for female dogs, that's kind of what I look at as a responsible breeder. Is you're not just overly breeding a female. She has a litter, and then as soon as they're weaned off of her, you have another one and another one and another one. I think that people really need to be mindful and really discuss it with their veterinarians too. Of like, look, I have this female dog that I would like to breed, but how many times should I breed her until it becomes a little bit too much, right? Yeah. So I think that would be an important part of just being a responsible dog breeder.
And going back to that education piece.
Correct. Yes, and really discussing that with their veterinarian would be the best option to really determine, because every dog is different, every breed is different. Just to have that general guideline.
I appreciate hearing that, because I think sometimes we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
And then the fear is, I'm doing something wrong, I'll get in trouble, I won't ask. Instead of proactive seems to be an ongoing theme of like, before you make the puppies, let's know what we're doing. Lieutenant Richey, you've said a couple of times today, and I hear it, and I know we've worked on projects with you before, of how can we change that stigma of Charles County Department of Emergency Services, Animal Control, and Animal Care are the bad guys.
Right.
if you have community members that are hearing this and saying, actually, like, I don't want them to be bad guys. I want to know more about the work they do. I want to get more involved. I want to volunteer. How do people connect with you and your department?
Yeah, so our division contains animal control and the Charles County Animal Care Center. So all the animals that we pick up on our daily routine, we take to the Charles County Animal Care Center. They provide, temporary care and housing for those animals until they can be reunited with an owner or adopted or rescued. So I think it kind of plays in both hands of you can volunteer at our shelter and really learn what the staff there does, because they have an incredible job and an incredibly hard job to take care of all of the, for lack of better words, unwanted animals or animals that have been there for so long they're just waiting for a home. So any kind of volunteer work that anyone is looking to do at our shelter, they can always use the help. As far as the animal control side goes, we do offer ride-alongs, and we also do a lot of school outreach programs. So I think the education kind of starts from the young kids and kind of works their way up. So if we can kind of get into the schools, and we do it regularly, to educate them of this is what we do, and if we can kind of work from the ground up, quite literally, and kind of educate from that side of things. But I think that people can just ask. I mean, all of my officers that we have employed on our staff are open books. If anyone asks them a question, they're more than happy to educate and really kind of clarify any kind of misconstrued conceptions that people have of us.
That's awesome. I'll make sure all of that information's in the show notes, how people can reach out and either go on a ride along or
We're happy to
volunteer at the shelter. Yeah. And you guys are getting a beautiful new animal care center near the stadium.
Yes.
And I'm so excited. A well-deserved new building for you.
Very
so good. Make sure you have all your permits.
Yes.
Yes, it's a new building. Yes.
It's county property. They're good.
It's got to be good. Those are great takeaways. I appreciate it, Lieutenant Roche. And Kelly, tell us, I think we've said over and over again about the, don't make the puppies till you know. But
that's right.
What do you want people to know? What's the number one, like if people are watching or listening to this episode, what do you want them to remember or take and share?
Sure. Just make sure you reach out first. Either call our office in planning, or you can call Animal Control first and they'll connect you with us as well. But just ask the questions first before you make the puppies, before you make that investment. Because we all know it's not cheap and it's not easy. There's no such thing as a free puppy or a free dog. It's a huge investment. And we want you to make it responsibly, and we want you to make sure that you're going to keep your neighbors happy and your animals happy so that, you guys can have a thriving business out there.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Liz, final words from the attorney. What does the attorney want us to know? What does my lawyer want me to share?
I think the most important thing is what it is that the two of them have already gone ahead and put out there, which is that this is really a complicated process. We'd like you to be like anybody who is interested in going into having more than a couple of animals, to go ahead and reach out, ask the questions first, and be patient, because there are times it is that you're going to feel like, I think I got everything, and you're going to go over to see Miss Palmer, and Miss Palmer's going to say, I think I need this extra information from Lieutenant Roche. And it's going to feel like a whole lot of back and forth, and this is what you always say, government isn't making it easy. But the reality of it is that we're doing it really to make sure that we're keeping everyone safe, we're keeping your family members, your furry friends, and safe, so that therefore they can be your companions. And we're also trying to look out for how it is that our community grows. We have neighbors on one side or the other. Be considerate, be responsible, but be patient as you get those things together.
Be considerate, be responsible, and be patient. I really like that. That kind of sums up working with government, right? And government working with our community. So we will put all of these in the show notes, but if you are, you can always visit the Animal Care and Control webpage or the PGM website. And if you want to reach Kelly Palmer, you can always call her at 301-645-0692. And if you want to reach Lieutenant Roche and her wonderful team, 301-609-3425 is Animal Control. Thank you all so much for this conversation. I think it really helps when we pull these departments together and talk about how we're all working together to keep Charles County safe. So Kelly Palmer, our Planning Supervisor and Planning and Growth Management, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And Katie Roche, our Lieutenant for Animal Control, thanks so much for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
And Liz Theobald's our Deputy County Attorney, as always. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a pleasure doing this episode of Cracking the Code. I typically remind you to go back and listen to other episodes, and you can always look forward to new content coming. Usually I end by saying take care, stay safe, and stay engaged, but I feel like in the spirit of The Price is Right, I could also say take care, stay safe, stay engaged, and spay and neuter your pets. Isn't that what they used to say at the end of every Price is Right? So, thank you so much for tuning in, Charles County. We'll look forward to seeing you for our new content coming up soon. Take care, stay safe, and stay engaged.
Thanks for listening. If you like this podcast and want to hear more, search Charles County Government on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. And be sure to like and subscribe. We're also available on YouTube. Search Charles County Commissioners. And stay connected for all county news, information, and programs by visiting www.charlescountymd.gov/stay connected.